Hey and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at a classic elf swarm with a bit of control. Now the control doesn't come in the way of traps, it's good old-fashioned cards that you could see that inflict damage and special cards, so it's a lot of fun in this way. I think it's very ethical and it was pretty good to play, to be honest with you. Now the deck doesn't have an overwhelming amount of consistency, however I did come up with a second version, so if you guys are worried about drawing into your golds, you can check out the second version in the description, and I'll also show you briefly in this video before we play the games. But the games that I played today are with this version of the deck. Now the deck will still feel generally the same, it'll still perform very similar, there's just a couple card additions, and we'll kind of get into the deck here and some of the strategies. So we have Feign Death, which is a scenario that's going to be able to spawn a commando, and then a couple Deadeye tokens, and then of course a Waylay. Now this is going to put a lot of points on the board. We can either play this in round 1 if we're looking to either tempo pass or win on even, and or we could just play it in round 3 for like a finisher. It works great in long round, it works great in short round, so I don't really have a preference there with it. Now, of course, we're proccing that with our elves here, and we want to flood the board as much as possible, so having the 2 Deadeye spawn off it, the commando, and then of course the Waylay, obviously looking for a death blow to get the token, is going to be preferred. Now, we have, of course, Vernasil, so this is going to be good to either give us more Deadeyes in the event that we want to go for the Isengrim Swarm big boost, or if we want to play very control heavy and take away some engines, we have the ability to put this on the melee row and damage random enemy units by 2 for each Deadeye that we have. So you can imagine that we can get quite a few points from this combination here, and I expanded a little bit on this in the second version of the deck, but it works very good in either or, and I think it's pretty well an auto include with this type of deck here. And moving on to the next card, we got Simlas. Simlas is really good in this because we can either pull into all of the Waylays that we make from the Venedane, right? We can make the Waylays with the Venedane, put them back in the deck with the Snowdrop. If that plays unavailable and we can't hit the 4 Waylays, then we can always go for other cards like the Bountiful Harvest, which is going to give some hand buff carryover. We're going to be able to make an elf, you know, based on the 3 options that we get, and play whatever's the most necessary for the situation here. So again, really good, just big point swing with that. And then of course, you know, rebukes. We have the double rebukes if we're looking for control. So there's a few different options there. You're not going to be simlassing into a Spores. The Spores is just my alternative tall punish, because I find a lot of the decks that I'm playing against right now, there's going to be something you want to heat wave, and then there might be something you want to reset. So that's just a more inexpensive way to go about that there. Now this version has Force Protector, and it's going to give us another copy of a nature card that we have here. So it really depends on the circumstance. Sometimes you're going to want to go for a Rebuke if you have an engine that you want to get rid of. Obviously the extra death blow effect is going to be nice, getting the extra 2 points off the Rebuke kill for the Protector. But you know, more than often we'll be playing the Bountiful Harvest, and we can create and play another elf. And what's nice about the deck here is that we don't necessarily turn off the commando from our scenario unless we have one of these 2 cards out there. So there's very few cards in the deck that are going to be breaking the commando. I didn't want to put commandos in the bronze end because I felt like they would just get removed too easily before they get value, so I focused more on the bronzes that are inflicting damage. If you guys haven't noticed that, that's basically the reasoning for it here. Heatwave just, again, feels appropriate. Aileron's going to be helping with some consistency from the deck. Thinning out from our deck in round 1 could even be really good to help maybe increase the likelihood of pulling into some of our golds later. And if we play a couple inexpensive bronzes and we click our stratagem, we should be able to have Aileron out there in no time, and definitely find a pass if we're having trouble. And one of the last little things I have here that we haven't really touched on is the Yavin. This is like honestly a win condition if you think about it. We could stack that row to the brink and then put this at the end and just damage something by the amount of elves on the row. And since we're just playing a deck surrounding elves, you can imagine how much damage that's going to be able to give. That'll be able to remove one of their best cards, or the defender, or whatever have you, so you could save your heat wave and save your spores. So it makes a huge difference with the current meta to have something like that there. Now, moving on to the alternative version, a couple little changes here. I decided, instead of clogging up the board with the Venedane and the Snowdrop combo, not board, but our deck, with the extra cards and having to rely on Simlast to draw them, you might find this a little bit more consistent with Neuromancy here. Now, it did come at the expense of a Heatwave to put in that, so again, this deck doesn't necessarily have as much points or as much control, but it certainly has more consistency. Getting the cards you need can sometimes be a win condition. I do miss the Heatwave, but I found, you know, we're going to be able to spawn quite a lot, so I wanted to keep Isengrim here. And again, I felt like maybe the sorceresses could survive here. Granted that we have the Bountiful Harvest, we can do some hand buffs here. We can get the extra boost on the board with Isengrim to keep this going if it's been pinged or something like that. So I felt like the return could have been just more points overall from this combination. However, again, I had no problem playing the first version, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys today. And if you like elves and you want to see some more support to elves, drop a like on the video. I know 30% of you guys that watch my content are subscribed to the channel. We're on the road to 3K, so if you want to help me out with that, by all means, much appreciated. And let's get into the games for today. Alright, and for the first game we got Skellige Battle Trance, and I played a lot of this for the last couple days, so I'm very familiar with what to expect in this matchup. What's nice about it though is that we have a couple tall punishes for their Crow Clan Preachers, and we have good engine removal, and they don't have a whole lot in the way of control, so it balances out pretty well, to be fair. Tuck the Waylay away, because we can still at this point salvage that whole play. I don't mind the Bomber, I don't love the Rebuke there. Pulling into a Waylay is unfortunate. But even if we can't put all 4 Waylays back in deck, the Venedane is actually just good when we play them from hand, because if we can get a Death Blow, then we're getting 2 Deadeyes on the turn, so even if it's a different round than Simlast, I'm actually not upset with that. Now, there's actually consideration to go ahead and play Venedane here, and then we can Snowdrop.
As you command, Daisy.
I'm thinking about putting one of the Waylays back because I find that, again, a handful of Waylays is a little bit difficult when we don't have direct ways to get that Death Blow. We do have some damage cards in hand, but it takes some time to set up and it could be a little bit slow. And either way there, we have a couple options for Simlast later, so it's not even bad.
Yourself with those damn nets.
No sense in trying to damage that, it just gives them value when they click it. So I'm deciding at this point what to put back. We obviously want to make sure Simlast doesn't break. This deck is a little bit more intricate to pilot than some of the other ones I play, just because a lot of it's draw dependent. Yeah, it's not half bad here. The plus side about what we've got here in our hand is that we could pretty well play everything. And I want to crank this so we can get out the Aileron, because, well, sooner. And also to flip something if it gets damaged, right? Now the extra point helps. We didn't necessarily have to take the flip there, but I don't know how much better it's going to be getting. Save one of them for now. Right of the sea into a Giga. That's pretty wild. It's got to be the archer, otherwise we don't get ahead here. We take the flip so that if they pass, we're still good. And then we have pretty good room to take a waylay here. That'll be a pretty big turn, right? 9 point. I'm recording on a new software today because I'm trying to troubleshoot just basically every issue that I've been facing. So I'm really hoping that nothing goes wrong with this recording. I'm going to listen to it after and make sure it's good to go. But I did like a little 20-second practice thing and it sounded pretty good, so I'm convinced at this point it'll work. You know, if I have to, I will actually take Verno here. It's gotten to that point, right? Maybe see if we can go on without having to play Verno. There's consideration just to drop the other Dolblethana. Yeah, I mean, we're decent amount of points up, even if they do play and play the location. We've got 6 Deadeyes on the board, and for what it's worth, we didn't really commit a whole lot here. I would say if I'm comparing, they probably committed a little bit more. So, you know, Verno's not bad. We still have Scenario, we still have Simlast, Protector, Heatwave, tons of different stuff, right? If I can just get a pass, we'll probably drive past round 2, maybe, or even Peller. So far, card for card, this is the same as the deck that I've been playing. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and take that here. Should be enough to get out of the round. Yeah, okay, that's fine. If I draw well, I will push. Otherwise, we'll just, you know, pass on it. Bountiful, Spores, Holy. Simlast is good. I think in this case you go for the... We have 2 Bountifuls. Simlast double Bountiful carryover is a thing. You could boost that other elf sky high and then try and move on to the next round with some carryover. Maybe we could pull something that will give us points here as well. I don't think we should get trapped if we play this. And yeah, Hunter's huge. Now, that's a bad pull. We don't really have anything that we could sear, but they don't know that. And I would imagine that a play like that demands like a scenario. So if they have Getty, there's a chance that they're going to play it here, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Coffee number 2. And got the nice pass here, honestly. That's perfect. Cards are even. We've got some carryover. We have full leader. If I can pull into a tall punish, I think we're in pretty good shape here. Heatwave, Protector, Spores. Okay. Do we even want to take mulligans? I mean, Spores is good. Yeah. I think that might be the play. I didn't think Rebuke was going to be very good here. I think we want to go for the point route. But Waylay's... I mean, it's alright. And you see what I'm talking about here with the whole consistency thing. Like, would have been nice to have the Eisengram. We got pretty much everything else, but that's pretty much the only thing here. So I think we play... Yeah, we'll play into that. Boost Elf in hand. We have one. I don't see why we don't. That's a pretty good finisher. These damage pings aren't really the best thing here, because if they play any sort of alchemy card, it heals it. So I was reluctant to use it, but it's fine. And let's just get rid of those now before they can go and get some heal value. So immediately you'd want to heatwave that. However, I don't think we should, because it might be the only card that we actually play Spores for. So I'm hovering over it here, and I don't really have a Waylay, so I'm thinking about heatwaving this and setting up a better Waylay off the Crow Mother once they've played. Or even, that's perfect. Obviously Crow Mother wouldn't be the best Waylay if they had an Alchemy, so seeing the Preacher come down is perfect. And keep in mind here, we got full leader that we haven't used yet. That's just not enough. Yeah, couldn't even click it. You gotta love it though. Moving on to the next one, we have Nilfgaard Double Cross. Now, a lot of you guys seem to think that Assimilate's not very strong in this meta. I'm not disagreeing, but I do think that it has some matchups it's actually pretty good into. With Control dominant meta, it's tough to get some of those engines going, but there's so many different variants of Assimilate, right? It doesn't have to always, like, I find the Illusionists get really good value still.
From here, not even compost.
Not the best hand, but I believe we always want to start with an engine, so putting that down here either demands removal or it gets some good value. It doesn't play well into the Guerilla Tactics matchup, but you have to understand that, like, a lot of things don't. And I have them there even though they're road locked, because I know that it's very difficult for someone to see that road locked unit and not want to target it. So to get out these challenges early on is sometimes better. And Blue coin going down defender on range row. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Stefan or something. I'm struggling for options to play, and we don't want to hit that necessarily. We don't want to actually do points. And I think there was once today, I can't remember where it was, which game it was, but I do remember it happened where I forgot to use the order on the Swordmaster before I put down another elf to make the cooldown quicker. So I'm fully aware that it happened, I just don't know where it happened. So if I see it, I'll comment on it, but just remember that when you're playing cards around the Swordmaster, you basically gotta use that charge first. Do we ever just focus on a little bit of carryover here? Or just throw down bronzes, you know what I mean? And MMR for this is in around 2400. It's definitely above, but it's not much above because I haven't really played a lot of Scoia'tael. Like, I played an Invigorate Saskia deck that I made a guide on recently, and what else did I do? I can't even remember. I just know that when I'm playing Saskia this month, you guys aren't even like down to Scoia'tael. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's so much of it going around that, like, we've all seen it. So, if I'm gonna play Scoia, it's gotta be something that's a little off meta.
Fine vintage it would have made.
24-7, I still have room to push. If we get a pass on this, like, I'm down just to play a few bronzes and take it. We can even get some carryover with Bountiful that way if that's the worst case. I just want to know why the defender went down. Because, you know, it's protecting tokens right now. The day before New Year's. I don't know if you guys have any big plans for New Year's. I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. Like, there's not a lot of stuff open. Right now there's like more cases in my city. Like, it's a huge kind of influx, so I don't really want to try and go get sick, you know what I mean? Might be like a low-key thing here. Man, Illusionist going down. Wanderer's coming down. I don't know what the stratagem was for. These kind of decks scare me the most because, like, when you see like little random tech-ins like that stratagem or like the defender, you wonder what like is actually going on. You know, it could appear like just another Assimilate deck or just another deck, but you really don't know until they play the cards. The surprise value is a thing. But I'm pretty comfortable with the round 1 commitments we made. There was like next to none. And for what it's worth, I'm just tossing a card down on a row here. I know it's supposed to go, I think I tossed the Swordmaster on range just to get it out there. Not like we're actually going to use it, doesn't really matter. And if you guys didn't know or you're new to the game, there's actually a setting in the settings tab where you can change there's like a row placement warning. If you place something on the wrong row, it'll give you a heads up. If you're new to the game, I recommend doing that, because when I started, I lost a lot of games because of that alone, so it makes a big difference. But I just turn it off, because sometimes I'm doing it on purpose, and I don't want to have to click a warning every single time. I mean, that's about the best the hand's gonna get. We're not getting double bountifuls, we're not getting double rebukes, but I think we should be alright here. And sure enough, they're non-dev. Kinda sucks. I was looking for anything but what we drew. Like, they're probably the worst pulls in this case. I just take that one for the most points. I was thinking about trying to play around like an assassination, but then I realized it doesn't even matter, right? It goes to 5 anyways, they kill it, so it didn't make sense. You can't pick a side. I suppose the alternative, well, not even, because we wouldn't have been able to predict that we were going to pull that card that moves it, right? The Dragoon, we had no idea. Now, I pulled into the Seer here. I believe the opponent ended up missing the line, but we have to be careful in this matchup. And if I was to go back and do this again, because we're not actually playing Seers, we don't need Seers, so we don't want to have the liability of a Seer, because oftentimes Nilfgaard runs the Mushy Truffle, and if they're able to make a copy of that, then they're basically getting so many points. So be mindful of that, and like I said, unless you're actually doing a deck that revolves around Seers and it's one of your plays, don't pick Seers, the Seer off the Bountiful. Because I'm just waiting for them to realize, like, they could ping it and coup it right here. Brathens, Artorias, they can, you know, do so many different things to get it, right? But when they click the Protector, I sort of realized that they probably don't see it, or they can't work around it. I was feeling a little bit more comfortable about it. I was streaming this game in a Discord call when I was recording it, and I got really excited about this moment right here. The value, you know? You love to see it, right? When Waylay takes a couple engines. Round 3, Aileron 2. Like, we were so reserved in round 1 that we're able to actually bring this out in round 3. Feels like an accomplishment. I'm worried about the leader, but their leader is not really going to be that great unless they get Verno. So I think I actually want to play Verno now, because they can heatwave just about whatever they want, and the ceiling is 6 points. So I think we actually crank it here. We don't have any way of getting any more Deadeyes beyond what we've got right here. Maybe we can snipe an engine. Maybe we can play before there's more armor on the board. Sure enough, we don't get it, but we're up quite a bit, and that might actually just set the pace here. The bomber can maybe take out the front Swordmaster. But we get the forfeit, and that feels great. It all started with a Waylay. That's my life quote. It started with a Waylay. So we got decent tactical decision, Colgrim, Mill, this, that, right? Hyper thin. Heads up though, this one's Mill. And I'm sorry, but like, I just don't believe that Mill's very good. You know? Like, I don't like to exaggerate with that kind of stuff. If I have a good experience with the deck, I'll say it's kind of good, you know? But if my experience has changed with the deck, I'll say, you know, never mind. But Mill, I just don't see it ever being good. It might be fun for some people to play, but I don't think it's like... It's not the right type of strategy, right? It's too luck dependent. And I don't know about you guys, but like, the luck's not always on my side. you know? So, I don't know. I'm not much of a mill kind of guy, like, I don't play it. But playing against it's actually not too bad, because we could usually go for a 2-0 or just put them in an awkward spot. By the way, this is game 3. We got 5 games for you guys today. That Whisperer on a board like that, just sitting there for 3 points, kind of scares me. Sure enough, we're good. We're good. Yeah. I want to try and capitalize on this as much as possible, as quick as possible, before they remove it. Right, get some tempo here. It's the Swordmaster, I'm pretty sure. That'll be fine. The only thing about Protector that sucks here is that it does turn off Commando, which is one of the reasons why I don't have Commandos in the deck. Right, that one was off the Bountiful. But, it's not all bad.
I forgive.
23, 27. We need to see a bit more commitments because I know they're only 1 card away, and we don't want to get bled down hard in round 2. We want to make it so that if we can get a pass and just leave the round, if we can't win it, then at least they would have had to spend enough in round 1 that they can't go for 2-0, like that they're just, you know, hurting for it. I'm flipping that because I'm trying to basically say, alright, that extra point might make a difference when it comes to me wanting to pass. But we do have really good points that are boosted onto that, the Archer, and if I have to, think about it, that's like an 11-point card. So we could play that, and that would just change the dynamic of the round quite a bit. We go into, oh wow. So you started milling. Actually, before this, we didn't really have much indication that it was mill, did we? So, Mata would have been the exception, right? I'm thinking, okay, well, we see Mata. You know, maybe it's mill, but sometimes you just see Mata in decks for that one specific card that they're looking to pull, right? 22 to 42. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Like, I could play a bomber or something like that, but then it closes that window, right? So I'm thinking here, why don't we just pass and make them try and get the points? Because, like, the cards we have are pretty valuable. Well, a few of them at least. That's not bad. So seeing Vilk here is okay. Leader and Sunset would take it. But then again, that's Leader, Sunset, Vilgefortz, right? I don't know if we really care. I know a lot of the time, like, it's very difficult to want to pass on mill, but I feel like there's certain like times where you just want to, or you can, and it felt appropriate here. Now, we want to get our best cards possible so that they're milling garbage cards. That's essentially it at this point, and Feign Death is in decks, so we might have to say goodbye to it. Oh my gosh. Sure enough, right? Goodbye.
This is our land, Dwan. You're not welcome here.
I don't mind this here because if we waylay the 3, also a lot of the cards that they play in mill are like 4 power cards and things like that. So, you know, getting 2 Deadeyes per is pretty wild. And that would have been their best Vilgefortz for sure. And they really don't want to take out that Cantarella, that's fine. Here's a little tech. Something I realized, I'm like, wait, can't you just damage anything? Why don't we just do that? I'm pretty confident with that. I just don't believe that they're going to be able to get the points, which is why I'm like, you know what? We could even take away a point from our side and even take away one of the points from our waylay because, you know, we should just be fine here.
We follow Letho's lead.
Preventing them from milling one time could make a difference too for like getting their card back. Yeah, it's just crazy. Still, it's like an 8-point waylay there. Tibor into that. I mean, that just gets heat waved, right? I don't think we're going to have to play Vernaseal to get out of the round, which is really good. Could probably just play that round 3. Renew into a Vilg, or... It's a Simlas. Yeah, taking it personally here. Waylay becomes a little bit less attractive once the Venedane's gone. So there's consideration to put it back. I think Spores goes here. I don't think it's Colgrim Mill. And that should just be fine. I think at most here we might have to play a Rebuke.
I like you whether you like it or not.
And if last card's like a Golem, I don't think it's enough, right? Because it'll damage itself by something in our deck. And I'm most certain we have 1 card left in deck at least that's a unit. So the whole idea and principle behind the deck that Mill's trying to do is obviously have it so that you pull into less than 3 cards in round 3, which gives them like their advantage of cards back, maybe in favor of them or even, and then from there, you know, they'll play something like the Golem and it won't damage itself by anything, and they'll play stuff like Tibor and you don't pull out like a unit. So there's that kind of stuff. In this event, we were able to work around that pretty easily, even though they milled our Feign Death, they milled our Simlas, all that type of stuff, right? And there goes the deck down to 0. So I'm feeling pretty good about it overall. And I think I'm going to take Verno for the damage here, just because I don't know what they have in the way of control. it feels a little bit safer. Just drop Verno here and 246, right? It'll still be alive, but it'll be weak. They play something else, we play the bomber, we can just clean up with a waylay. Honestly, I don't see how they find the points. If that's a crushing trap though, it was such a good roll. Now, at this point, like I said, I was on the phone with a couple buddies, and they were watching, and I was asking if I should hero pass. But I just thought that would be really stupid if I was recording a video and I hero passed and they somehow made the points. It would be just awful. So we didn't do it, but maybe sometime we'll find the courage to go ahead and do that. Moving on to the next one, we have Skellige Onslaught. This is going to be one of the tougher matchups, I believe. Because, think about it this way. We have a lot of damage, but they have a lot of armor. They have a lot of damage. We don't have a lot of armor. We have more engines than they do, and so forth. I try to put as many deploy cards as we could, so we can get, like, you know, a lot of value off that, but we can't really control exactly what comes out of the Bountiful Harvest. Now, fortunately, we don't go super tall, right? Snowdrop here is not made to go super tall. It's actually just made to fix the 100 bricks that we could have in our deck. The hand we have is really bad. I guess really bad. So I have to play Scenario here. And for what it's worth, because this deck is so greedy, there's been games today that you guys have seen that we didn't even draw into Scenario, and we're still able to win, right? Or Scenario got milled, and we're still able to win. So I'm pretty confident with the amount of points that we have. It does feel like... It does feel a little bit clunky in the way, like I said, you know, if you like things that just run smooth, you're having the same draws every game, then... you know, it's tough. I think it would be really cool if they had like a hero card that they put in for elves, and it could be like play an elf from deck that has a provision cost of such to such, or you know, this base power or lower, or maybe just make it so it has to be bronze. Like, little things like this could make elves take off, because if you think about it, like how fast you could proc a scenario with that sort of thing, right? Like all types of stuff. It's crazy. Also just cycling the deck out a little bit better, because there's not really any thinning besides the Aileron. And, you know, it forces you to use non-devotion cards like Oneromancy, because you can't use Isengrim's Council or anything like that if the whole deck's elves. Like, that'll basically be like, draw a random card in your deck. Thanks. You know? Call of the Forest doesn't solve the problem, because we still have to find Feigned Death.
Stand before the Queen of Skellige.
Nothing like some overseas.
I did a Redea Elves deck recently. It was before the patch, though. To be fair, I think that I like the way this one plays a lot better. Just when you have like good cards, it's sometimes nice to double up on those good cards, especially when you're playing like an underwhelming archetype. Like, you know, with the place that elves are in right now, you kind of want to have... Ouch. Yeah, You kind of want to have the most points possible. Now, the second leader charge is beyond me. I don't know why. But I'll take it. You know, the first leader charge even, we didn't have Verno, so the snowdrop actually shut down the commando. But for what it's worth, I know with Skellige's discard package, they put out so many points, it basically, like, makes our scenario not even really matter, you know, in this specific matchup. So I was just using it to get out of the round, and we have to decide, well, they have to decide now if they want to go for a tie or they want to play into it. So if they tie, they go first, which is actually better for us. They don't have leader, we have leader, but the thing is, we need to draw good cards. And if I don't draw good cards, it probably, like, it could be bad, you know? Isengrim's okay, Spores is bad, Waylay's bad. Nothing's working here, man. Okay. Then, yeah. See, like, I don't want Vanadane here, and I don't want Waylay. But, like, to put one, I'm keeping the other. And then the Bomber's not very good here at all. And then the Rebukes are actually not really good here at all because, well, they're okay, but they're not great because the armor and stuff like that, right? Maybe they'll have boats or something we can kill off. There we go. I remember starting this round with confidence. Like, once the boat came down, I hit the first rebuke, I was like, alright, we're getting our stride here, things are okay, you know? It's just everything else that's about to happen is just like, how do we keep up with that? Like, I think that we have to respect Crack and basically put a heat wave here, take that. But eventually we're gonna have to play cards, and that's where it gets kind of difficult, right?
Worry not. We'll tend your ankle biters too.
Can't play Bomber, can't play Waylay, can't play Yavin, can't play Archer. Bountiful Harvest is not really good here. Since I'm getting 2 more Waylays, I put one back. I put the Bomber back because I think it might actually just play for 2 points. So at least here, there's potential that if we play a couple Waylays, you know, it could work out. It's not our only play. Again, we're doing 1 damage here with this. It's kind of bad. I think we hit the front one here, just in case. At least we're getting a Deadeye, which is kind of nice. And it's going to be one of those hold the leader till later type things. Verno would have been really nice here. We would have probably taken Verno for the points though instead of the damage, but... looks to me like they didn't have a problem drawing their cards, and bringing back Berna tells me that they're probably going to be fishing for what they missed. We want to get out that second Waylay before the Vanadane dies.
They can hide, but there is no escape.
But, it's close. Kush is probably going to be the target there. And they're going for Bloodthirst 3, which kind of concerns me a little bit. I'm wondering if they have, like, a random iced.
Women, children, elders.
Probably just to get Zeal on those, though. Hanging on for life, so he's done his job. these tokens are game changers for us right now.
Very corpses? Nay, feed our foes to the crabs while they still live. Elren has shown us the way. For the daisy of the valley!
So I take Isengrim here and we use leader here because otherwise we lose the points off the Deadeyes. We have to put them on the board first, and that's just the best we're gonna get. I want to keep things alive because I want to keep the row strong because the Yavin might actually save the game. And we're sort of forced into the way that we play this too. We have to play Bountiful Harvest before we play the Yavin because we need to be able to boost Yavin in hand, otherwise we're losing points there too, so 13 armor is massive. They missed the 5. So they threw 2 points there. I'm not complaining though. I think we take Sword Dancer, even though it's not going to be boosted, just because we can actually use the point. And we stack the range row.
Too fast for you, Dwan.
Actually, come to think of it, I was a little bit concerned about stacking range row all the way, which is why I dished 1 token on the range row. But in a game this close, yeah, it actually would have saved it for us. No, would it have? No, it wouldn't have. Never mind. Because our removal's still 8, right? That's our highest. Yeah. So assuming everything on the back row stays alive, we're doing 8 damage. So it didn't matter. Let's go ahead and play Yavin here. That ends up in a tie, which is crazy. I don't even know how we got out of this game, to be honest. Moving on to the last game of the day. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering how this one's going to go. We got Scoia'tael, Guerilla Tactics, Milva, Saskia, probably Madoc, all that type of stuff. And I have no idea how to play this matchup. This is like literally my first effort to play this. Like, I don't think we've had this matchup today. So normally, like I've actually just never encountered this matchup. So in these cases, like, I'm just playing the way I think it's supposed to be played, not based on the past experience. So it's a little bit of trial and error. So if there's anything that I, looking back on it, think that maybe we shouldn't have done or could have done better, I'll comment on that now. But decided to go ahead and grab that. Obviously, we want to play around the Tiger. I don't have a heat wave for it. That would have been a pretty good heat wave too. Ouch. Bomber's kind of awkward here. Waylay is okay. Because we are on red coins, so we don't necessarily have to push into this round. But if I can just play a couple inexpensive cards and kind of see how things are going, right? That'd be alright. We still don't have 2 cards for the Bomber. Armor doesn't really matter. We have to play on range row. We don't want to rebuke it. Snowdrop feels like the only thing to do here because our hand's not really what we want, so we have to find something a bit better. That's the thing, like, when I've seen the Snowdrop combo with the Waylays before, you can either go all in and make a deck around it, or you can just use it as a package. and I prefer it as a package because if it's the only strategy and it doesn't work, you're in trouble.
Have you seen a fuse lying about?
But here it actually kind of helps because we're not drawing cards in certain situations. It might actually help us find them. We have bricks in hand like the aileron or things like that we want to get rid of, so it kind of works out. There's the Nova, a couple pyrotechs. Okay. Do we ever just crank Vernal for points, to be honest with you? That's a thing. That could actually be a thing. Or just chuck that. I mean, here's the thing. If we try and beta pass, I guess I understand why I did that. Yeah, we could just get a pass here from them, and then that's not bad at all. I want to see some leader commitments because I know that their leader is just going to like obliterate our whole scenario. Like, they could basically get rid of like pretty much everything that comes out of our scenario in their leader charges plus Milba. It's pretty nuts. I guess we take ranged. I would have liked to play that on melee and not hit the Maddock, but we kind of have to play it on ranged. If they have a bomb, we lose value. If they... Okay. That's good. Seven, 4, and 2. Verno puts us there. If I'm gonna commit Verno though, I kind of want to like win on even, so I decided to put down the 5 to get out the aileron here, just because, you know, if I'm gonna play something that expensive, I want it to actually matter. Protectors, that's good. You know, we traded Verno for Protector. I'm actually pretty happy with that. It's a pretty even trade for provisions. Do we ever just play one of these? Like, I just don't anticipate getting a much better Isengrim or a Yavin. The fact that we have 4 units on the roll alive is pretty good. It's just doing 5 damage is also a little bit underwhelming, you know? It helps, but is it enough? 13, 16. Either we see a huge commitment here, or we just get the pass, but I think they try and commit. And if they want to keep that in deck, that's perfect. So that was one of the big things that I was worried about, was that leader. And with that, I'm pretty confident. Even though it seems like we went a far way here, putting down Verno to lose round 1. Like, we got Saber, we got Synthesis, we got Protector. Like, there's a lot of cards that we saw from them. Their leader as well. So we have a throw card, we have a couple elves for scenario, we should be fine.
Swords I smile at, weapons laughed.
Again, my range row chuck. They're probably hovering over it like, what an idiot. You're supposed to play it on melee. The amount of round 3s for the whole tactic play is bothersome, but it's manageable. Simlast doesn't look like it's gonna work perfectly here. So they can't get rid of that right here. Let's have a... I wish I could look at my deck. Okay, perfect. Yeah, actually we do have 2 rebukes. That's good. This was ambitious. Good luck, sorceress. I didn't respect making a bomb. Probably should have... Oh. It lives? I forgot about that. That's awesome. I would have probably put it on melee next time, just so that if they do play like a making the bomb, you know, it'll just get bleeding instead of actually killing it off. I'm trying to decide here if I want to take another Bountiful. I think we do, even though it shuts down the commando. And wasn't hoping for that at all. We can't use these cards because they have direct target damage. It's not a random enemy, it's an enemy, so you see what I mean? Can't click it. This plays for 4 points. Cat Witcher's really nice, but we kind of want 2 targets here, right? And the Vanadane, we don't necessarily want to play because we don't have 2 cards in our hand that we don't like. So I might chuck Bomber. Yeah, I think we'll do this play. And then we can basically do this, take the 2 rebukes off of Simlast. One's going to be for the Cat Witcher, one's going to be from the other engine that this brings out. And then... So they had a bomb in their hand the whole time. They should have used that. It would have messed up the Nova though, but it's fine. 2 rebukes here, great value. And that could just seal the game for us, right? We have a pretty good lead here. And we just go ahead and take that, and then basically it's either the Milva or the Madoc. Like either way, we're getting a Waylay, and they know that's our last card in hand too. If you guys have any recommendations for future videos, let me know in the comments. And if you're not subbed to the channel, you want to support what I do, that's the best way to do so, and I appreciate it greatly. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow for another guide. We had Gord final save here. It's not enough points. Take it easy, guys.